Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, introduce myself. My name is Arifatul from Class D, Manufacturing Engineering Study Program with study number ID 2505-123-0021. Today I will explain about the UTM, Universal Testing Machine. The UTM is a device used to determine the mechanical properties of materials, especially tensile and compression strength. It is called universal because with different jigs or fixtures, the machine can perform not only tensile and compression tests, but also bending, shear, and or static tests. However, this machine cannot perform fatigue testing. Okay, about the types of UTM. There are two main types of UTMs based on the driving system. The first is hydraulic system. Uses hydraulic fluid as the actuator. It usually has a large capacity, such as 30 tons, but the test curve tends to be raw. The second is servo-electric system. Use an electric motor. The capacity is smaller, for example 5 tons, but the movement is smaller and the test curve is more stable. In this experiment, we will use the UTM with a hydraulic system. This machine has a maximum load capacity of 30 tons, but usually produces a slightly longer test curve compared to the servo motor system. Next is machine components. The first is mainframe or columns, supports the structure and crosshead movement. The second is crosshead, moves up and down to apply load. Clamps or grips hold the specimen securely. The jig or indenter adjust depending on the type of test. Load cell for measure the applied load and sends data to the computer. Control box, located at the back containing the hydraulic and electrical system. Okay, the last is computer and software, process for calculate and display the result in numeric and graphical form. Okay, next is about the standard to tensile testing. For metals, tensile testing is usually conducted following ISTM 8 or AHM or ISO 6892 standards. The standards regulate specimen shape, dimension, and testing procedures to ensure accuracy. For sample shape and dimension, the specimen shape and size are based on the choose standard. For example, in STM 8, a typical specimen has a dog bone shape with a reduced cross-sectional area in the middle. The length, width, and thickness must follow the standards so that the test results are valid and comparable. Next, about the data input and settings in UTM. Before running the test, the operator must input specimen dimension like length, width, thickness, or diameter. Second is test speed or strain rate according to the standard. The third is maximum load capacity range. The fourth is these parameters ensure the machine applies load correctly and records accurate data. Okay, about the tensile test process. The first is insert the specimen and clamp it between the jaws. Set the speed and other parameters based on the standard. The third is start the test. The crosshead moves and applies load gradually. The fourth is the load cell measure the force while the computer records extension. The fifth is the test continues until the specimen is breaks. Now, for the result and graph, the output is a curve of load y-axis versus extension x-axis. Extension or actuator or stress strain if the software converts the data. Each material has its own characteristic curve. Fluctuation in the curve indicate non-homogeneous material. When the curve drops, the specimen usually begins to neck or fracture. From the curve, we can determine properties such as ultimate tensile strength, elastic modulus, yield strength, and ductility. For the closing tensile testing using the UTM, engineers can understand how strong and ductile a material is and how it behaves under load. This information is essential in material selection and component design in manufacturing and construction industries. Enough for me. I'm sorry if I have mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.